what I thought the answer was. I knew the answer. And I tried
So she's gonna go and
Test our twirling
sounds good.
right now.
So take care.
That might have kind of messed them up. I was like,
All right, hello, sorry. Welcome, everyone. I can see you over here. I apologize for having some vision stuff, so if you hear Cindy say Sunday, it's because I can't see her, so. Anyways, with that, if you are able, please stand and join me in the pledge. Are we good? Yeah. Okay. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
you come in.
Yeah, you can join us. Okay. All right, moving right along. Item number 4 is the adoption of the agenda. I would entertain a motion to adopt tonight's agenda. Fantastic. A second?
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Call to the public. Call to the public is an opportunity for anyone to speak on anything. Do we have any cards? No cards. Yeah, we're going a little bit fast, it might seem, because I understand we don't have any restrooms in the facility right now. So stop drinking your water, please. Information and discussion items. Our first item up this is from Del Rio Elementary School. Dr. Moody.
Get it, brother. Madam President, members of the board, esteemed colleagues, and everyone else, I guess that would be Matt. Obviously, we have been going through schools and departments on campus, and if you don't know, I think at this point you do, but if you don't know us principals, we play a little game with one another when we get up here to see how long we take. And so let the timers begin. There we go.
They've already
Excellent.
started.
Okay, fantastic. I appreciate that. I could stand up here and talk about math scores. That would be awesome. And I could talk about reading scores and what we're doing there. And I could talk about our writing scores. And I could talk about oral reading fluency. But I'd rather talk about Thomas Jefferson. And Thomas Jefferson said, education is the practice of practical skills in the midst of virtuous action, which promotes intrinsic, joyful learning. He wrote that as the opening salvo in an essay he wrote on the introduction of schools. He really wanted private schools, but let's just set that aside for a second. And he said, however, schools should serve the purpose of literacy. Yes, but they should greater serve the purpose of character. Because without character, literacy becomes moot. And so what I'd like to do is spend just a few moments on a project that Cheyenne has actually been lovingly working on. And that is to say, in the revamping of our websites, you'll be going to a district link and then to the Del Rio and all the other schools. And there's going to be highlights that jump out at you, just kind of little snippets of good things, bullet points that are going on. And again, yes, reading, writing, all that. But I'd like to focus on some of those snippets that we are doing to promote character and intrinsic learning. That is to say, we want kids to still be coming to school and want to come to school. And that's why we have 24 kids still with perfect attendance. And so if you could hit the next slide, please. Here are some of the things that, wow, that did not transfer well, but let's just set that aside for a second. Clearly, we're not teaching me technology, but let's just roll with it, you know. We have a variety of things. And I'll go through some of these in particular. We're an A-rated school. We have 17 clubs and or extracurriculars. A large part of that is thanks to the middle school. We have PE, which is not offered everywhere, technology in the library every week for kids. We have a variety of community partnerships. We'll talk to that, and I think that's a huge part of who we are. We focus on character and we promote kids that way. Reading is central to everything we do, and we'll talk about something we're going to do there. Student technology, safety, he's standing back there. We have an active PTO. In fact, they're still meeting right this very second, and so we'll set that aside. We have our EL program, and if you've been in education like I have for the past 32 years, EL used to be called SEI, it used to be called ESL, it used to be called LEP, I've seen it called ESOL, I've seen it called DLL, any number of things. Our English language learners who are coming in. And they're also called L2, language 2 learners. We have an active student government, which is part of it. And the kind of central theme to what we're doing on our campus is cultivating good citizenship. And I would welcome several of you who have come to our campus and wandered around. I've even seen Cindy Daniels there once or twice. I would hope that if you do come to our campus, one of the things that you see and is blaringly obvious is kids opening doors for you, saying thank you, and you know, picking up trash when and where they can. And I may or may not have been known to wrap trash around dollar bills to promote kids picking up garbage. They're like, well, there's $1 in here. I'm like, really? That's crazy. And now they just want to, can I go pick up garbage? Sure, knock yourself out. So let's just kind of go through some of these highlights just so you kind of are aware, because I know a lot of what the board does is drudgery and is not all that exciting necessarily. And sometimes, and again, you are all welcome at any time, but it's not necessarily something that you see the fruits of your efforts and labors every day. So let's kind of look at some of those fruits. Back one, back two, back three, back four. There we go. The other back. There we go. Forward one. There we are. We're an A-rated school this year, and I hope we achieve that again. I cannot take any credit for that whatsoever. The credit goes to those folks right there. That is our picture from this year. I know I was there. I can't remember exactly where I'm in the upper right. There we go. I can't. Yeah, with my orange bow tie. Not a huge fan of orange. That's why Mr. Robitaille is wearing orange. But my wife made me wear an orange bow tie for that picture. But the A-rating school is based on several factors, if you don't know. One is overall student growth based on the state testing. And then not only overall student growth, but regular education versus special ed versus EL, and the gaps being closed therein, so that, according to the Department of Education, I love when they say things like this that are so logistically measurable, so that kids are ready for success. Again, if we're focusing on character, I think that our kids are. And if you ever get the opportunity, those folks up on that picture, and then they're there on the bottom, they really are practicing kind of a mantra that I've been hitting and people are tired of hearing. That doesn't mean it's going away. Is we always say all oars in the water. Because one person not rowing well or in the appropriate direction screws up the entire ship. And so all oars in the water. Next slide, please. We have a variety of things for kids to do, and we love all of these. Obviously, we have yearbook. Obviously, we have student government. We have a gardening club. You can see them meeting there, and we have some planter boxes. We're going to be putting more in this summer. We have an active quilting club, as does HMS. We have an active cooking club as well. You can see it in the upper left there. The aprons and hats for the cooking club were made by our quilting club. And so for their efforts, and occasionally a kid walks into my office with a hamburger or a steak. It works out. And our quilting club, by the end of the year, I think we have 6 kids on track right now to finish a full quilt, which is one of them a boy, which I think is awesome. We have a chess club. We have a good news club. Next year, we're introducing with Austin Huffer and one of his compatriots as the coach, we're introducing mountain biking. We, through a outside organization, we are going to be able to provide 10 kids with mountain bikes for them to use on our trails, which are adjacent to the small teacher houses and our campus. We're also going to be introducing with Pearl Turley a knitting club next year. She has promised to knit me a tie, so I don't even know how that would work. Yeah, a really big one. And our kids, our 5th graders in particular, are able to participate in sports over at the middle school as well. Cross country, track, wrestling, basketball, archery, that's all middle school stuff with middle school coaches, and I think it's a great coordination, and they are so gracious to host us. And it's also a great transition from 5th grade to 6th grade because those kids already know coaches, they already know the campus, they already know the teachers. And this is just a snippet of what we have going on. In fact, right now, it's over now, but we have today we have cooking and chess and quilting. This is the last week for quilting, so they're just finishing some stuff up. And I just want to point out, because Cindy Daniels really kind of stresses this point, this notion of one pride. This is us, but this is the middle school. This is transportation, providing a way for kids to get home in the afternoon. This is everybody kind of pulling their weight to do good things for kids. And the vast majority of these sponsors are not paid. They do it because they love kids. And I think that's kind of the motivating factor. Nope. Obviously, specials. We have library every week. We promote reading. And in fact, we're going to have more open hours for library next year. And we're also going to introduce something. I'm going to give it a go. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Stop everything and read. Stop, drop, and read. Where kids are going to be kind of carrying books all the time. And we're just going to randomly come over the PA, stop, and everyone will stop and read for 5 or 10 minutes. And then I don't know how it's going to work, but we'll see what happens if kids in the bathroom. We'll figure that out. Right now, computers, I think I go back to a study from 2018 that showed that the #1 impediment to students performing well on state-given tests was their inability to navigate the test technology. And so even more so than not knowing the material. And so we've been focusing obviously on typing, obviously on computer bias and proficiency and good management therein, but we've also been focusing on how to take the test here in the lab. And they're like, whoa, there's a second page you have to scroll to? Yes, there is. And then one of the other factors from that same study, which was done by the Federal Department of Education in 2018, showed that one of the greatest motivators of student success beyond technology and beyond the actual curriculum is physical activity. And schools with consistent PE programs had higher test scores. And we are blessed to have a full-time PE teacher. And I just want to comment on my favorite week of the year is the unit with what Coach Krug calls bounce ball there in the middle. So teams line up on the 2 opposite lines, and then they use the foam balls that throw against the large ball and kind of push it over the other side's line, which is great. But 3rd graders don't understand physics. And when they hit the ball, it ricochets into them. And inevitably, I'm standing there watching video of kids getting hit in the face by their own ball. And not cool, but it's one of the funniest things you've ever seen in your life. Kids love it. Obviously, we are part of, and I know I'm forgetting some here. We have AmeriCorps seniors on campus volunteering. We're part of the Yavapai Library Network. The American Legion is on our campus. The Elks are on our campus. All of our local police departments are on our campus. And in fact, in 3 weeks at our Map Force Day at the end of the year, we have a DPS helicopter landing on our field. And they're super excited about that as well. The Lions are part of our everyday endeavors and reading and million-word readers. CAFMA is always gracious in everything that they provide, and especially on our Dr. Seuss Week. And Yavapai College, who is so prominent at the high school level, provides services and opportunities. And in fact, for our gardening club, they're helping us out, A, for next year, but B, for this year as well. I'm going to be providing all of our plants and seeds. It's going to be awesome. Please. But again, character is what we do. We have 6 pillars that we focus on. These are almost cliche at this point, but trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, citizenship. These are literally going to be painted on our pillars at the school after we get our school painted. So point, and school facilities board, that's on them. But we're going to literally paint these on pillars, and we reward kids every quarter for practicing these, and lift them up and give them certificates and kind of point this out when we can with kids in their classrooms. Go. One of the key elements of our campus is safety, and that on our campus, obviously, we are a complete perimeter, and we are a one entrance and exit access point throughout the day, but a large part of that is the integration of our SRO on campus, Officer Gronick, who's in the back of the room right there. He is an amazing, amazing portion to our school life. You can often see him at recess throwing a ball around with kids, grabbing a Frisbee and then, chucking it back, interacting with kids, high fives. And in fact, I have 2 very favorite portions of the day. One is standing out at the curb at parent drop-off. Matt and I making sure kids get in and they see a welcome face and know that it's a welcome and safe place to be. And 2 is the Pledge of Allegiance right after that before we release kids. And they happen one right after another. So there's obviously Officer Matt and me standing out, actually just about a week ago. I love that kid. He comes up and he goes, Levi goes, hey, I got a shirt that says what you say. And I'm like, oh, that could go south. And then he opened up his jacket and then there it was. It's good. It's a good day to have a good day. Please. I'm being timed. A large portion of why we're an A school is the EL program. We have a full-time, as does everyone, a full-time EL teacher and aide. And here they are practicing their obviously facial expressions, but reading it and they have to say it, and then they're saying it in Spanish as well. It's a fantastic program, and one thing we introduced this year that we're going to continue to do is we have an extra class. It's only 45 minutes based on our schedule. An extra class for students who are like new to our community and don't speak English. We have several of them on campus, and it's conversational. It's not a graded course, but really, are they going to be able to get science? Are they going to be able to get these things if they can't speak English? And so we have them coming in and doing conversational English. And if you want to come on campus right after that class gets out, you can tell what they're working on, because whatever it is, they have to find 3 adults to practice it with. And so like they'll come up and they'll be like, hello, my name is, Jose, or my name is Alex, or mine. I'm like, hello, Alex, how are you? I'm good. Yes, you are. Please. And then obviously when we can and where we can, we celebrate everything we can. Obviously honor roll, obviously principals list. We celebrate AR goals. That's their reading goals that they meet. Last quarter, you may have heard, for every kid that met 100% of their reading goal, they got a piece of tape to take me to the wall. That's me in the bottom left. And if they met 300% of their goal, they got a piece of pie. to throw at me. And with that much pie hitting you, it comes back through your nose and you taste it for about 2 hours. I'm just saying. But character counts awards, you can see in the upper left. Attendance, you can see he's grabbing some Hot Wheels there. Lori Marley is a blessing in that she provides us with some toys and games and things. And kids who have perfect attendance get to come and be in a raffle and choose something out of the giant prize closet. And it's kind of develop this mystique at this point. Ooh, what's in the closet? I've never been in the closet. Okay. We have our Cougar colors, obviously. There's our Veterans Day Assembly, which is my favorite day of the year, where kids invite veterans. And again, we do that whatever the most proximal day to Veterans Day is. And I would invite you right now, next year. We have theme days throughout the year. That would be our Dr. Seuss Day with thing 1, thing 2, and thing 3 up there in the upper right. And every chance we get, we try to have a good time, because if you're not having fun at work, what's the point of being at work? And if you're not having fun as a teacher in the classroom, the kids aren't going to be wanting to be there. And I'll just give one example, and then I'll open it up to questions, and I'll sit down. You can see there the dog with the duck. We tried something new this year. I think it's kind of funny, but we gave every teacher a duck that's reflective of their personality. That is Cody Asherbrenner's duck. He's our cooking club coach, so it's a little cook, little chef. And when teachers go on long weekends or breaks, I can't wait to see what happens this summer. They take their ducks with them, and they take pictures of their ducks doing things. And in one of our pass-through hallways, we've been posting all of these ducks. There's everything from cruises to football games to apparently a dog trying to eat it. He said he smeared peanut butter on the bottom of it to get the dog to do that. So I'm like, okay, of course you did. Because if you're not having fun at work, what's the point of being there? This is the end of my 32nd year in education, and I can honestly say that I've never worked at a better place with better people and had more fun doing it. Any questions that I can answer for you?
That's awesome. I agree with you. My teacher isn't having fun in the classroom, the kids aren't having fun.
We'll have our days, but
Yes,
you know.
but I'm saying, making education fun, that's when the children really learn.
Yeah, I would agree.
The district is blessed to have you.
Oh, that's gracious of you to say. Thank
I
you.
was going to say that too. I get so many compliments from friends and people that I know saying what a great program that you guys have. You and Matt with 1 T.
Matt with 1 T.
So thank you guys so much for your dedication and your work.
It's a good place to be.
And I think I missed a few, but I'm gonna say about 12.
1904.
you were
1904. Man,
I missed more than a few.
I lost that bet. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Item B is our superintendent's report. Yes, Dennis, please.
Okay. So fourth quarter is pretty busy. And one of the things that we've done, we have a big list of all the brand ambassadors that we're recognizing during fourth quarter. Some have already been recognized. And the longer nominations are behind my agenda items, so you can see what people wrote about.
I'm here.
Okay, I'm gonna have to call you back right away.
Oh, okay.
So John Lewison's on the phone this evening, but apparently not for a minute. So anyway, what I did was include what their peers wrote about them and nominated them. The foundation has sponsored this year. We've encouraged people to nominate any staff members who they think really represent our brand, really represent that keeping students safe, that we are preparing them for the future. And so those are things that we really, and that we're working together. So those are things that we really want to highlight. And as people exemplify that, we've been going around and recognizing them, shouting them out on social media. So we've all told, we've recognized about 10% of our employees this year. So that's kind of neat, sort of that top 10%. So that's been fun. And then I provide some statistics for you about where we are currently with enrollment. We're sitting at 2220 as of last Monday, and you can see where enrollment lies. Remember, for budgeting purposes, preschool and kindergarten students are only half funded. And in your packet behind the superintendent's report is information about each grade level enrollment, so you can see what that looks like. One of the things that I wanted to highlight is that our attendance statistics from January to now are still very, very good. We are running at 91% district-wide. That's down just a little bit from first quarter, but statewide, most school districts are running between 75 and 80% daily attendance, so we are significantly above. And our grade level with the highest daily attendance has been third grade. 94% of third graders come to school every day since we returned from break in January. And our senior class right now has the lowest, that's 89%. Not atypical for this time of year with seniors. They're still doing pretty good though, sitting at 89%. That's really impressive. So some of you have inquired about announcements coming out of DC. You've asked, what does it mean with what we're hearing about USDOE? And the things that I want to tell you about, the feds have shared with us that they're committed to keeping funding levels at least the same for Title I and special ed going into next year. We're expecting reductions in Title II, which is our professional development money. We're expecting some possible reductions in Title III, which pays for English language learners. Title IV, which pays for technology and school counselors and things like that. We don't use Title IV for that. We roll all our Title IV into Title I to support reading and math interventions. We're also hearing about some potential reductions to the National School Lunch Program. That's the one that would hurt us the most. They're talking about changing the eligibility requirements for community eligibility provision, which is what we have, where all our students can eat for free breakfast and free lunch. If they change that and we go back to what we did for the 2019-2020 school year, which was collect free and reduced lunch applications, then we will have roughly 40% of our student population who will need to pay full price for lunch. What happened during that time, during the Obama administration, lunches were about $2.65. That's about how much it costs to serve a school lunch. And if a student was full pay and they didn't have money in their lunch account, we could provide them an alternate lunch. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich, if they were allergic, cheese sandwich, an apple, or piece of fruit, and a milk. During the Obama administration, it was changed that we had to give them an equivalent meal. And what happened was the 2019-2020 school year, we had fourth quarter, you might remember that's the quarter nobody came back to school because of COVID. So from fourth quarter of 2020 until now, all of our students have eaten free breakfast and free lunch. It's pretty ingrained in our community. In 2019, fall of 2019, when full pay students were required to give them an equivalent meal if they didn't have money in their lunch account, our students ran up $30,000 in debt by Christmas time. We can't use money from our lunch account to pay that. That's against federal law because that's kind of like providing a free lunch to a kid that doesn't qualify. We have to use district M&O money. Right now, our school lunches are running about $4.15 per lunch. Price increases right everywhere, groceries. So we anticipate that if we lose our community eligibility provision, it's highly likely our students will accrue a lot of debt. And our projection would be between 100 and 150,000 a year in debt that we would have to make out from our budget. So one of the things, if the community eligibility provision is removed, then we're going to work hard with our lobbyist to see if we can get the equivalent lunch provision rolled back and that we can give something like an alternate lunch instead. Because we would incur a significant amount of debt. And so that's something that I have my eye on more carefully than really anything else, because that one I think has the most likelihood of occurring. So no matter what anybody's, what anyone their opinion is about federal level, USDOE, National School Lunch Program, NSLP, falls under the U.S. Department of Agriculture. But just because they're not part of US Department of Ed doesn't mean they're not going to be subject to changes. Last week, schools that hadn't spent out all their stimulus money, for example, their COVID relief funds, all their funds were swept on Tuesday night without warning. So schools who already had spent the money on approved projects and were waiting for reimbursements lost their money all across the United States, lost money they'd already spent. And so there are some pretty significant things that can happen. So we're just keeping our eye on it because we want to be able to do right by our families. But we also have a fiduciary responsibility, to our employees, to our taxpayers, to spend our money wisely. So that one I'll keep you up to date on as we know more. But that's the one, if there's anything that I think is likely to happen, it's that we would lose our community eligibility provision. And our community is not used to having to do the forms. And the other thing I wanted to share with you, federal minimum wage is just over $7 an hour. It's like $7.35, I think. $7.50 an hour is federal minimum. Federal poverty standards are based on federal minimum wage. In Arizona, our minimum wage is almost double federal minimum, which means families here, we have a lot who are working poor. Both parents are working for at or barely above minimum wage, would make way too much money to qualify for federal free lunch. So it's kind of a double whammy. We have a lot of people who wouldn't qualify because Arizona's minimum wage is so high, but who neither can afford to feed their children.
So would the state be involved with this?
It's National School Lunch Program. If the state decided to make up the difference at all for districts, that would be an appropriation either from the legislature, which has not even introduced a budget yet, or it would be through the governor's office. But it's highly unlikely that they're going to float millions of dollars in free lunch. A state budget that was $900 million overspent because of ESA last year.
The state involved in that would be helpful.
It would be, but yeah. So those are some things, that's a biggie right now. We've talked a lot about that in our leadership meetings. Otherwise, the dismantling of USDOE has little to no impact on us. I know there are a lot of, I'll call them, nationwide myths about what USDOE does and doesn't do. But truthfully, USDOE has little to no impact on our daily lives whatsoever.
So what would happen if we encourage parents to start bringing their children's lunch?
Well, it would depend, I guess, whether they thought they could afford to pack it or not. And people know, if they know we have to give their kid a lunch anyway, what incentive do you have to send your kids lunch? I'm just being honest about it.
I understand.
Because we did have that experience before. So we're basing it on our prior experience to make some projections based on cost and our current. This is definitely something that as I like IMP being a really close eye on this. And if there are things that I think we can mobilize our public to help with, then I'll be sure and let our board members know as well. So that's a biggie. Finally, Mrs. Bessie's prepared a list of activities that you may attend. It's on your table. This is such a busy time of year. It's actually stapled paper. So make sure you take it with you. But I wanted to point out, Ed talked about a little bit, a really super fun thing that we have coming up. On May 5th at Del Rio, we have a banquet to honor all of the million-word readers in the district, and it's sort of a picnic style thing. It is so fun. So if you want to attend that, you can let Becky know. You can email Cheyenne to RSVP. We've got a band concert on May 6th. This is what that week looks like, right? We've got the Million Word Challenge banquet on Monday. We've got a band concert on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we have senior awards in the East Gym. That is a marvelous night. We give away about $2 million in scholarships. Chino Valley Education Foundation will be awarding almost $79,000 this year. It's a long night, not gonna lie. It's a really long night. The biggest one for you guys is graduation on May 21. It's at Finley Event Center in PV. I would tell you to arrive by 6:30, and if you drive around the building, there's a loading dock on the back side, on the east side. You can come in the door by the loading dock, and you'll be sitting on stage and handing out diploma covers. So these are We have all kinds of fun things happening. Thing I wanted to share with you, and I'll pass it around. The Chino Valley Education Foundation is co-sponsoring a meal packing event. So as you know, we send home tens of thousands of weekend meals with kids, all sponsored by the Education Foundation. This year, Grace Church is partnering with the foundation to pack macaroni and cheese, oatmeal, and red beans and rice. And what happens is they need 500 volunteers altogether. It's 2 hour-and-a-half shifts, 9 to 10:30 and 11 to 12:30. And you come, you work at a table. It's very easy. Envision, if you will, outside Safeway, those pallets with those giant boxes of like watermelon in them. Imagine that full of elbow macaroni. Imagine another one full of cheese powder. And so you'll be working at a table to measure out elbow macaroni and cheese powder. But this project allows us to put meals in our weekend meal bags for students at about 25% of the cost if we had to buy the product separately. So a lot of you have different groups you belong to. Could be a pickleball club, could be your workplace, could be, you know, church, a Bible study, your friends group with your actual physical neighborhood. If you want to put together a little team to join up, I brought some things for you. All you have to do is scan me back your list by May 1 and show up at the day and time. You'll get an email reminder. But it's a really super fun way. The schools are putting together teams, grade levels are putting together teams. Heather's here, I'm sure. I'll give you one for your realtors group. So there are a lot of people who would really enjoy it. It's a super high energy, fun event. We got lots of super fun music going. And literally 5 years, last year, Quad City Church, that has a location in PV and in Prescott, invited the foundation to come and pick up boxes of the stuff that they had packed. I got there at shift change time to pick up stuff. It was so cool because there were people, like families with kids who were 5 and 7 going in. There were people who honestly went in with a walker and sat on a stool. And I was like, this is for like legitimately 5 to 95. So super cool, super fun, but I'll pass these out to you guys and then take any questions you might have from the report.
Any questions? I'm sorry. All right, then seeing none, we're going to move on
And that was shorter than 19 minutes, I might add.
Move on to item C, our financial reports. Mr. Livingston, can you hear us?
I sure can, President. Dear, you can't hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. All right, you're up.
That's great. Okay, Madam President, members of the board, administration staff, gentlemen, quick look at the financial activity of the district up to the end of March 25. Our budget will be amended on May 10th, our operating budget. That will hopefully May 12th, that second Monday in May. That will be our last chance to true up our budget with the numbers the state has prepared for it. Expenditures as of the end of March, 14.3 million in our operating fund. In our capital fund, 678,000. We do expect some limited carry forward into next year. We'll definitely keep you updated. We have until the end of August to spend on money that are on expenditures that were received for goods and services that were received by the end of June. So we usually have a couple months after the end of the fiscal period to do that. So we anticipate having some carryover definitely for the next year. Really watch we have here and trying to make the hack from different sources. A quick summary. Again, 14.2 was spent on 19.1 in our operating fund. That will be finalized at the May 12th meeting. We do have some good news in the 620 fund, our adjacent waste fund. Did produce that levy that's a locally funded group of dollars that goes together to cover fire lane issues, not necessarily parking lots, but anywhere a fire truck would go if there was a fire event. That went up from $250,000 last year to $350,000 this year. The good news is we were able to get out 12 companies, get on some of our projects, and we currently have over 500,000 of that anticipated to be spent this year. We're hopeful to have those projects done before school starts. Fire lane resurfacing in every building, every campus has fire lane access. Any questions with our main funds there with M&O or?
Any questions? No?
Okay.
Okay, no, we're good.
Okay, I'll move on to just a couple of funds I wanted to call out here just for a second. Fund 290, you can look at your cash funds report. We do have activity there. That's a federally approved public school fund. We've been trying for the last 4 years to get that fund going, operating and claiming and being reimbursed for all we've done to deliver services to students with special needs. Year to date, received $16,000 in that fund. We hope to receive significantly more than that. We were able to just complete our October through December claim. So we'll have 2 quarters in addition to that this year. We hope to clear at least 45,000 to 50,000 or better per year there, perhaps significantly better. Fund 691, fund X and applications the other day. We still have about $10 million in applications to get processed. So we've got $30.8 million in the past by the state from the project. And then just a quick look at, we had discussed this back in January, the Indian Gaming Fund, and money towards schools for class size reduction and for instructional improvement. And those revenues are down slightly for the first payment in December, but we anticipate hopeful that the second payment is the payment fund 22 and 024 on your cash report. We anticipate that the economy will get even stronger, some more casino revenues, and we'll be able to keep at the same level. Right now, it's on course to be down about 15,000 from last year. And that's a quick look at some extra funds. Any questions at this time I can come on to?
Mr. Livingston, with the Medicaid reimbursement, Fund 290, do you anticipate or have you heard of any cuts that we may be seeing in that fund?
Any hiccups?
No, any budget cuts?
No, I don't see that going away. That is a really large role in making school districts. You can say it for revenue stream or operations, but the reason I believe it's going to be secure and around for quite a while is that the districts have to provide services. So it does make sense that the districts continue to provide services with some light at the end of the tunnel with some reimbursement. It's not simply an entitlement program. It's more of a reimbursement. If these students have federal legislation behind them to receive the services and to reimburse the provider to a degree, it would make sense if it was done in a physical therapy office or if it was done in an orthopedic lab for some reimbursement would come because that's in federal law. So I believe schools will hopefully continue that for the next 30 years as a reimbursement, as an entitlement that is reimbursed because the costs are quite high.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Yep, that's all I had.
All right, student activity funds?
Student activity, lots of things going on in student activity. We see Heritage Middle School has, again, I believe it's this month, camp up at Campway with lots of outdoor activities, also dances planned. High school has a morph dance, it's quite advanced, I've never been to it, and then prom, junior prom, scheduled, and those are in student activity in the encumbrance side. We see a large amount, I believe it's $400 encumbered in Del Rio for a new type of game, like a game in a ring, but I haven't played it, and that's encumbered. And that's what I know about student activity. The students do a tremendous job of raising funds. We see high school golf has about 11,000 encumbered for a tournament coming up, and that just reflects on all these projects are student-led fundraising, and really speaks well to the support the community gives our students. That's all I have for student activity.
Fantastic. I think we're good. We hope you feel better soon.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, items 7A through J is our consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
A second,
Also,
all in favor? Aye. Item 7C is the addition of purchasing coordinator position to our cell phone reimbursement list. This one,
Yes, our current purchasing coordinator is kind of like on call when we have problems with our student clubs or travel at our schools. She's the one that is contacted, and it could be at different times where she would have to come in and get the credit card and call the hotel and make sure they have the right information. Also, we have some of our staff that calls her during the school day on her cell, because it's easier for them to get a hold of her. So we feel that that particular position should be reimbursed for cell phone, especially for any kind of emergency, like on the weekend if something happens at the farm and we have to get contact her and have her help us out with the PO or whatever we need.
got it. All right. Any questions or comments? Who's this for?
This is for the purchasing coordinator.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, I missed that.
That's okay.
All right, this is an action item. Again, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's.
we get any discussion.
Yeah, we can have discussion, absolutely.
Okay.
I apologize, I thought we had.
That's I guess I'm $1 short. It's $45 a month. Is that every month?
That's, yeah, what happens is that there's some of us in the district, certain job positions that are reimbursed for our cell phones, $45 a month, $135 per quarter. We turn it in on a quarterly basis.
That's even on the off times of your off times. and not-
These are 12-month positions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I should ask that.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah, they're 12-month positions, so they're people that work all school year or all year. Yeah.
Anything else on this side, ladies? Now I'll entertain a motion.
A motion to approve the adding of a purchasing coordinator position to the cell phone reimbursement list for the 24-25 fiscal year.
In a second, please.
I'll
All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 7G, Aspire Educational Services, IGA.
No, that was on the consent agenda.
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
All right, well, we're going to continue to move along then.
I did have questions on this.
You
So on the consent agenda, the IGA with Aspire was on the consent agenda.
okay? How about,
Oh, so I know what you're doing because Becky tabbed all the consent agenda. And that's why, like, so the cell phone reimbursement.
was on the
Was
consent?
on the consent agenda. You did not need to vote on that separately.
Oh,
It's okay. Half an eyeball.
It is absolutely,
It's a half
voted
an
on that.
eyeball.
It's a half eyeball. Thank you, appreciate that. All right, then we'll move on to item 8A, SRO, SSO evaluation form. Ms. Cronin.
Madam President and members of the board, I am here to present with you my dear friend Matt. He's the securities officer at Del Rio. And we are presenting to you an annual evaluation for our SROs and SSOs that we have created. And one thing is Matt and I met and talked about this. We talked about how the police department, was looking at their evaluation tool, but that really doesn't apply to us because our setting is so much different than what they deal with on a daily basis. So we're asking you to approve it.
And in speaking with other SROs and SSOs and even one of the state SRO coordinators, I kept asking people, who has an eval? Somebody's got to have an SRO eval. Because I can tell you the police department's eval is, performance on traffic stops, performance on calls for service, things that are just not always relevant to this position. And everybody, including Phoenix Police Department, said, no, we just use our patrol one. I'm like, well, that's not really relevant, so we came back and created our own.
Create our own. We really wanted something that would help our SROs and SSOs to grow on an annual basis. And we feel like this tool could be it. We'll use it a year and then come back and reevaluate it. But Matt was pleased with it, and he gave us some bullet points after talking with the other agencies, and we're ready to present. Questions, ladies?
I read through it. I thought it was very good.
Thank you, Marcia. Yep, any questions? All right, then seeing none, again, this is an action item. If we can have a motion for and a second? And all in favor? Aye. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Thanks, Matt. Item 8B, our elementary and middle school counselor social worker salary placement schedule as well.
Alrighty, as part of the ongoing analysis that we're doing in HR, we're going to staff compensation and comparing it to the Tri-City area. We're requesting approval. We've attached 2 placement schedules. This is just for new staff. And one is for the elementary middle school counselor, and it also can be a social worker. And this position is paid out of the safety grant, and then a portion of it out of classroom site fund. The second one is for the guidance counselor salary placement schedule, and that's for the high school, because those particular counselors have a longer calendar. They work more hours because they have to be there before school, get kids registered, change their schedules, and then clean up after graduation and make sure everybody's on track to graduate. So we're looking for approval for both of those, and they're behind the cover sheet. And like I said, one's going to come from the safety grant. The other one is just for guidance counselors. And one of the things that we found out that it will change one of our employee salary that's listed in the personnel report to make it fair and with that person's education and experience.
And this put us pretty much right in the middle of our neighborhood.
Yes, yeah. When I looked at the other districts in our area, and I looked at a few outside of the area, it's right in the middle. We're not trying to be at the top of the salary ranges.
Questions, Marcia?
I'm just thinking, could we possibly wait until you sit down with people and find out what their salaries are gonna be, or is this something we have to vote on tonight?
So this is a placement schedule. So when people are looking for a job, they say, if I come to work in Chino and I have this degree in this many years, this is what I can expect to make. But it doesn't have anything to do with how they advance once they're here. It's just initial placement, but we have to have a board-approved way to assign them a salary when we hire them. So this is your way of saying, this is the salary you can assign them. So we do it equitably rather than, oh, we're gonna hire this person, we really liked him in the interview and we don't wanna lose them, so we're gonna give them more. This is make sure we're equitable with all our hiring.
This wouldn't be retroactive.
No, this is for any new employee coming in.
But the person whose salary changes.
She was hired within the last year.
She was hired within the last year. It's not somebody that's been with us a long time.
Because we don't want people to be able to quit, come back to work for us tomorrow and make more.
Yeah, 'cause I wouldn't be fair to people already in.
No, and we looked at all of the, we looked at everyone's salary to make sure that nobody leapfrogged over somebody who's already here.
Okay, thank you.
It's just being fair.
Yeah, that being fair, yeah.
Anything further? Did that answer? Okay, fantastic. All right, again, this is an action item.
A motion to approve the 25-26 elementary and middle school counselor social worker salary placement schedule, and the 25-26 guidance counselor salary placement schedule.
In a second.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item 8C, our personnel report this evening with a supplement that was given to you prior to the meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the board. We have 4 new classified positions, 21 resignations, and that's a combination of paraprofessionals and certified and classified. We had one that did not sign their work agreement, so that's considered rescinded. And then we had 1 retirement, 4 certified changes, 12 classified changes, 15 coaches, 7 extra duties, and 327 timesheets.
Just an average day of work.
Are these some of the letters that we had before, or are these?
No, those are new letters that are attached to the supplement.
Okay, I just
Yep.
didn't get a chance to look at these, so.
How are we looking for next year?
Well, we've been busy hiring. I went to NAU a few weeks ago and we got, I think 2 or 3 that are very interested in the positions that we had opened that they met the criteria for. And the principals have been working very hard, interviewing and filling the positions. I got an email from Caitlin. She's got 3 people she's hiring. So, and I just got to do my part. But she's got 3, so. We got an art teacher out of NAU, so we were very
Oh,
happy.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I saw that resignation. and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Questions? Any other comments? How about you, Deb? All right, then I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's personnel report and the supplement.
I'll move motion, I'm sorry.
That's all good.
Go ahead. I'll motion to approve gotta get it written here. Approve the personal report as presented.
With supplement.
The supplement, yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Of course. All right, request to adopt substitutes. Item 9A, Ms. Brace.
So ladies, I'm not sure how you got so lucky tonight to see me twice, but here I am. So I am here tonight. I was not here in January when this came in front of you to ask for permission to pilot this program. It is a leadership program that Mr. Richardson has brought to us from his past district. And he says that it has brought a lot of success to them. So we are looking to bring it here. I'm telling you, I've witnessed the lessons I've been in, I've observed, and it brings me to tears. And I know I cry easily, Cindy, but I'm telling you, to see the kids interact and really take part in these lessons is amazing. And I suggest that you take the time to go in and observe a lesson, because it is on leadership and it is going to help our population of our students.
Billy introduce Heather?
I will. I will get to that. So I'm going to ask Billy if he wants to come up here and join me. And how we're going to get this program is, this is a costly program, but Heather Worley has met with Billy and they've worked together, and Heather will be funding this program for us. So it's no cost to our district. And it's a program where it brings in business leaders, and we're looking at going full blast with this next year if it's adopted tonight, where we are looking at how many business members?
40 is what we're looking
40 business members committing to coming into our schools once a month to work with our teachers, co-teach, and work with our students. And this is 40.
Wow.
And this is a commitment. And how many years of commitment are you asking?
I asked for 4 originally. That intimidated some people, so I pulled back and asked for 1 at a time.
So 1 year commitment to come in once a month and co-teach with our teachers.
And who's Heather with?
Heather, come up and introduce yourself. The Better Homes. I should know because my husband was in company.
Heather Worley with Your Home Team. I do the student of the week, so I'm on your billboard sometimes. Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate, Bloomtree Realty, and I just love Chino Valley. So that's, would you back up? I just love Chino Valley, and I know that we've got a lot of poverty in our school districts, and the way to build everybody up is by teaching them how to be leaders. So that's how this happened. Plus Billy's really convincing, so. But the community, the people that I've spoken with, business leaders, people are really excited. I mean, I have people that, I started with people just in Chino Valley, and I've said if other people who don't live in the area, they want to do it, they do. I've a fellow who wants to drive from Cordes Junction to do this once a month. So the community is very excited to partner with the kids and teach this curriculum. So
Are we the only school district doing this? Or?
At this time, we are. Thanks to Heather and thanks to Billy for bringing it to us.
Heather's a proud supporter of our weekend meal bag program too. Volunteer.
I was in Texas this weekend.
I'm super excited about it. I can't wait to see it get off the.
I really am too. I'm really, I think this is going to give us an opportunity to teach our children that we all make mistakes, but it's up to us to make those choices to change around those mistakes to better our lives. I'm telling you, it's really very touching to watch these lessons and to just see this change in the students and to see how they interact. The first lesson, no one, they weren't participating. And then the second one, they have more participating and they're talking about it the next day with the teacher. It's just really a great way to get our students to be active with our community and to get community service with our students. And so kudos to Billy for bringing it to us, and kudos to Heather for being willing to offer this to our community.
And our community gets to see how awesome our kids are.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you don't realize high schoolers are really close to being adults. Someday they're going to have a job or start their own business or whatever, and this is kind of giving them that groundwork to work on. So.
Well, and the relationships they're going to build with these business members, leaders in our community will be wonderful. So.
Future jobs.
And for the future, because no one else does it in the country. I started it at Kennesaw Mountain, bringing business people in, because according to the kid, like I said, when we talked about the pilot, teachers are stupid, their parents are stupid, but when a business person comes in and says the same thing, all of a sudden the light bulb came on. And we saw that a lot in the classrooms. Matt Dunn was one of the teachers. He had very bad attendance in first period. After that first lesson, his attendance started getting better. Kids that weren't talking in his class, all of a sudden we're building a relationship with them. So that does matter. Having the business person there does. And what I want to do in the future is by the time the seniors become seniors, this next year's freshman class, when they become seniors, God willing, because character is, if kid doesn't have character, we can't teach them. I'm hoping that our seniors will go out and work with our middle school and elementary. And during that period hopefully we can coordinate and they go teach a lesson, because the best way to learn anything is to teach it. And I can tell you, a lot of kids told me later it was a trap. Had one girl, she was on, like I said, on the hottest date of her life. And one of the little kids came out of nowhere, gave her a hug, and she's like, we have to act respectful. So it does make a huge difference.
And Heather has been co-teaching with Julie Bias. So,
Yeah, it's been fun.
Well, I would like to request to make a motion to adopt the Habitudes Learning Program for the Chino Valley High School.
fantastic. Second. All in favor? Aye. Ladies, thank you.
Thanks, Heather. Thanks, Shirley. Who seconded that motion? Thank you.
Item 10A, Agenda Quick Destiny Software, Ms. Daniels.
This evening at 4 o'clock, the board had an opportunity to participate in a work session regarding Destiny Software and a program called Agenda Quick, which would allow us to create our agendas electronically, to publish and make more forward-facing agendas, backup, things like that for our public, and allow administrators to have a seamless workflow by submitting their agendas through a workflow process and then publishing the agenda for the board to see. So we had a good presentation about that, a good understanding about what that would mean. We also, one of the build outs that we didn't talk about because it wasn't as germane to the board was the facilities use agreement process will also be provided by this company. So there'll be if-then scenarios. If a person asks for audiovisual equipment with a facility, it will go to Larry for approval. If they don't, it goes to whomever the next person is to eliminate paperwork for facilities use, which is a large consternation on our part, to be honest with you. There's a one-time setup fee of $2,750, an annual fee of $52. This is used by multiple public entities and school districts. The town of Chino Valley most recently was using it, and Yavapai County Board of Supervisors uses this. So for people who are checking agendas in our area as well, they'll be familiar with this. Format for our agendas would stay relatively the same, but allows us to have a much easier workflow and allows us to be able to make sure that we're presenting for the public all the things that they need to see in order to be, make sure we're being good stewards of public money and making decisions that are in line with the public. So Deco sitting back in the room who streams our meetings probably will be able to get a little help from the county people who stream meetings, which I'm sure you do as well. So he'll be familiar with utilizing Agenda Quick as well, so.
Well, we sat through the training. Are there any additional questions that we did not?
So when are we gonna officially start this?
So should you vote to approve it this evening, we would begin the process of moving to that internally and preparing all the things like, behind the scenes that need to be done. We would have a training for the board in June, and our first packet would be July 1. So it'd be our July packet would be our first packet that would be electronic. And we're probably gonna have like a practice packet in June. To make
For some of us.
Make sure we all know what we're doing. So, anyway, I would kindly ask that if you are willing to support this, that you vote affirmatively this evening. So,
All right, with that, then I'll entertain a motion to approve this.
I'll make a motion.
I'll
that
second
we-
it.
We did not-
Yeah, you get it all up.
Oh, okay. I motion that we sign up with Destiny Software Services.
All right, and I'm gonna presume I have a second.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, item 11A is just first reading. Generally, we don't discuss a whole lot on first readings.
Right, we don't, and so, but what I did want to say, because this is a lot of cleanup by ASBA. A lot of ASBA policies are strictly a restatement of state statute. So they're working through trying to clean these up, eliminating things where there are multiple versions or, duplicity in a lot of the policies. I would encourage you, because next month will be second reading, like Cindy said, we typically nitty-gritty it at the second reading, and if there's something that we want to strike or add, whatever localize we can, you are free to remove that whole section
Oh, really?
from your binder and take it with you. If you have insomnia, I think it will cure it, but that way, certainly I'll be happy to answer any questions you have this evening or questions between now and the next meeting. And this is just the first read.
Any questions on first read tonight?
No, I didn't read it yet.
Justin?
I did read the whole
It is
thing.
neat.
And the person switch over and possibly not use ASBA.
It will take, so before our next meeting, next month, we have a work study session about the possibility of switching policy services. But that process will take several months, and we need an updated policy manual in the meantime to work from. So you'll need to make sure that our current policy manual is completely updated, because it will overlay any new one we have, and that will be a several month process. So good question.
Okay, with that then, good night. See y'all next month.
So we can take off.
CVI